Sometimes the world just feels unbearably heavy. There are days when the weight of tragedy presses down on an entire community, leaving everyone searching for answers that may never come. On September 10, 2025, Utah Valley University became the site of a tragedy that shocked the nation. What began as an ordinary day on campus quickly turned into one that would be remembered for years to come. Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA, was killed during a Kwanda session on campus. The event, meant to foster dialogue and understanding, was suddenly transformed into a scene of chaos and heartbreak. He was only 31, a husband and father of 2. His life, filled with promise and purpose, was cut short in an instant, leaving behind a young family who must now navigate a future without him. The violence was senseless, leaving a family shattered and a community in mourning. Friends, colleagues, and strangers alike gathered to grieve, struggling to comprehend how such a thing could happen in their midst. This wasn't just a headline. It was a devastating loss for real people. The pain rippled through classrooms, homes, and hearts, touching everyone who heard the news. The attack happened in a place meant for learning and safety, making it even more jarring. Universities are supposed to be sanctuaries for growth and discovery, not scenes of violence and fear. The news spread quickly, uniting people across beliefs in grief and disbelief. Social media lit up with messages of shock, support, and sorrow as the story reached every corner of the country. It's a moment that reminds us violence affects everyone, no matter who they are. In times like these, differences fade, and what remains is our shared humanity and the need to come together. The ripple of sadness reached far beyond Utah, touching hearts nationwide. People everywhere paused to reflect, mourn, and send their condolences to those most affected. In the midst of this, one local voice stood out, someone who felt the pain deeply. For Lindsay Arnold, this tragedy was not just a distant event, but a personal turning point. This is where Lindsay Arnold's story begins, a story of loss, resilience, and the search for hope in the aftermath of heartbreak. When tragedy strikes close to home, it hits differently. The pain feels sharper, the shock more personal, and the need for comfort even greater. Lindsay Arnold, beloved from the world of dance and television, lives just minutes from where the shooting happened. For her, this wasn't just another headline. It was her own community, her neighbors, her friends. She took to Instagram not with politics but with raw emotion. Truly sick to my stomach over what happened in my hometown today. Her words captured the heartbreak so many felt, and her vulnerability resonated with thousands. Her message was simple. Her heart and prayers went out to everyone affected, especially Charlie Kirk's family. She reminded everyone that behind every tragedy are real people, real families, and real pain. Lindsay's words echoed what so many felt: heartbreak, compassion, and a plea for unity. In a world often divided, her message was a gentle reminder that we are all connected by our shared humanity. She wrote, "I don't care what your beliefs are. Murder and violence in any form is wrong." It was a powerful statement, cutting through the noise and focusing on what truly matters: life, safety, and respect for one another. It was a call for basic human decency, cutting through the noise of division. Her words encouraged people to come together, to support one another, and to reject hate in all its forms. Lindsay wasn't making a political statement. She was standing up for humanity. She showed that sometimes the most important thing we can do is simply care for each other. Her post was a plea for compassion and a rejection of violence, pure and simple. In moments like these, empathy and kindness can be the strongest forces for healing. In a dark moment, her voice was a beacon of empathy. She reminded us that even in the face of tragedy, hope and love can shine through. Sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is remind each other of our shared humanity, and that together we can begin to heal. You'd think condemning violence would unite people, but social media can be harsh. Lindsay's heartfelt post drew criticism. Some questioned why she spoke out about this tragedy and not others. One message asked, "Why post about this but not all school shootings?" Instead of ignoring it, Lindsay responded with honesty and grace. She explained her grief was real and personal, not selective. Public figures often face a no-win situation. Speak out and get criticized. Stay silent and get criticized. Lindsay chose vulnerability over defensiveness. Opening up about her feelings, she used the moment to clarify her intentions and show her humanity. Her response was a reminder that grief is personal, and empathy shouldn't be policed. In the face of negativity, she doubled down on compassion. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stay kind. Lindsay explained why this tragedy struck so close to her heart. The shooting happened at a university she can see from her kitchen window, less than 10 minutes from her childhood home. This wasn't just news. It was her community, her memories, her sense of safety. She knew people on campus that day, making the fear immediate and real. Her reaction wasn't about politics. It was about protecting her home and loved ones. Lindsay's post came from genuine fear and sadness for her community. When violence hits where you grew up, it feels like a personal attack. Her vulnerability offered a window into her heart, not an excuse. It's a reminder that we never know the full story behind someone's pain. Sometimes tragedy is literally right outside your door. That's why her words resonated so deeply. Lindsay didn't back down. She made her stance even clearer, her voice unwavering in the face of criticism and doubt. She stood tall, refusing to let the noise of disagreement drown out her message. "I don't care what your beliefs are. Murder and violence is wrong," she repeated, her words echoing through the crowd. It wasn't just a statement. It was a challenge to everyone listening to look beyond their own perspectives. She drew a line, on one side, compassion, on the other, senseless violence. For Lindsay, there was no grey area when it came to the value of human life. In a divided world, she insisted that violence is never justified, no matter the victim or the cause. She spoke to people on both sides, urging them to see the humanity in one another. Her words were a call to recognize the loss of human life, not argue over beliefs. She reminded everyone that every life lost to violence leaves behind a family, a community, and a future that will never be realized. Empathy shouldn't have an agenda. You don't need to agree with someone to mourn their loss. Lindsay believed that compassion is a bridge, not a barrier, and that it's possible to care deeply even when you disagree. Charlie Kirk was a son, husband, and father. His family's pain is universal. The grief of losing a loved one to violence is something that transcends politics, religion, and ideology. Lindsay's response was about shared humanity, not sides. She wanted people to remember that at our core, we all want safety, love, and respect for ourselves and our families. She led with love, even when criticized, refusing to let negativity distract her. Instead, she used every harsh word as fuel to stand even stronger for what she believed in. Her message, at its heart, was simple. We're all just people trying to live in peace, hoping for a better tomorrow for ourselves and those we care about. Violence is always wrong, and compassion is always right. It's a principle that doesn't change, no matter the situation or the people involved. It's a simple truth, but one we need to hear more often. In a world full of noise and division, Lindsay's voice was a reminder of what really matters. Lindsay's example is one of courage and kindness, a reminder that standing up for peace and compassion is always worth it, no matter how hard it may be. Lindsay addressed the tough question. Why speak out about this, but not every tragedy? She acknowledged that violence happens daily, everywhere. "No, I don't comment on every tragedy, but if you know me, you know I feel the same about every single one," she said. Social media can't capture every heartbreak. Sometimes silence is self-preservation. Just because someone doesn't post doesn't mean they don't care. This tragedy was personal. It happened in her backyard, to her community. It's natural to feel more deeply when your own world is shaken. Lindsay's honesty showed that empathy isn't measured by posts, but by the heart. We can't judge someone's compassion by their feed. She was brave enough to share her process, showing her heart is big enough for all victims. Sometimes one tragedy hits so hard you have to speak. That's what makes us human. Lindsay's most powerful point. Acknowledging one awful tragedy does not take away from another. Compassion isn't a limited resource. Our hearts can hold space for many losses. We don't have to rank tragedies or choose sides in grief. Mourning one family doesn't mean ignoring another. Lindsay called for an end to grief policing, telling others how to feel. Pain isn't a contest. Empathy isn't a competition. When someone is hurting, our first instinct should be comfort, not judgment. Lindsay's message: there's room in our hearts for all victims. My heart breaks for all those who lose loved ones to heartless, violent acts, she wrote. Her words were a call for unity and compassion in a divided world. We can care about it all. There's no limit to empathy. That's a lesson worth remembering. Lindsay proved her empathy wasn't just talk. Soon after the Utah tragedy, a school shooting in Colorado made headlines. Lindsay posted again, "Today is heavy, and my heart breaks for these poor students and families." Her compassion wasn't limited by geography or personal connection. She showed that acknowledging one tragedy doesn't diminish another. Lindsay's actions spoke louder than words. Her heart was big enough for all victims. She lived her beliefs, offering comfort to every community in pain. It's a sad reality that tragedy is so frequent, but her response was consistent. She connected the dots. Violence anywhere brings the same pain and loss. Her posts were a quiet prayer for peace and a testament to her character. Every life lost to violence is worth mourning. What do we take away from Lindsay Arnold's story? It's about responding to tragedy with grace, not anger. When faced with heartbreak and criticism, Lindsay chose vulnerability and kindness. Her message: kindness and empathy matter always. She stood firm. Murder is always wrong. Compassion should never be conditional. In a divided world, her voice was a plea for shared humanity. We all process grief differently. Some tragedies hit closer to home. Lindsay's story is a call to give each other more grace and less judgment. It's a hope for a world where violence isn't the headline and kindness is the norm. We all want a world where people can live and speak freely without fear. Thank you, Lindsay, for reminding us to lead with empathy and hope.